Math 8, Quarter 1, Week 9 lesson plans, last week of the quarter. Let's go right into Week 9 of Math 8, Quarter 1, PowerPoint edition, MP4 edition available. And name date here, students, to sign your lesson plans for Math 8, Quarter 1. Let's go right into our page 1 here. What's in week 9 for Math 8 Quarter 1? And when you start up here with the finishing up the Pythagorean theorem, homework part 2, and then we go into 9.4 classwork real numbers part 1, 9.4 classwork real numbers part 2. Then we have a 9.4 real numbers homework part 1. And then after that, we go into our review and summary. Chapter 9, review and summary, classwork homework part 1. Then we have our real numbers mid-chapter quiz. And then we have our test for chapter 9 test. So there's a full schedule here. Our standards for week 9 is mostly, the new standard is 8.NS 8.NS.2, which is approximating and locating irrational numbers. This lesson introduces students to irrational numbers, emphasizing their non-terminating, non-repeating decimal expansions, and distinguishing what are the learning targets here would be distinguishing between rational and irrational numbers based on their decimal expansions. So that's a fancy concept there. And generate decimal approximation of irrational numbers to a given place value. And then compare and order irrational numbers using their rational approximations. And then finally, accurately locate irrational numbers on a number line. Those are our learning targets for week 9. And then resources, materials, as usual, animated PowerPoints, videos, classwork, homework, quiz, test worksheets, activities, and tasks. All class worksheets are closed exercise from PowerPoints, videos, homework, quizzes, test assignments available online with corrections provided after submission dates. Available in over 100 languages. Available online 24/7. Closed caption for hearing impaired. Audio for sight impaired. Then classwork is 101 points for classwork. Note-taking is 35 points. Homework is 213 points. Quiz is 57 points. Test is 44 points. So the total for week 9 is 450 points. And then for week 9, we go into our lessons here, which is 9.3 homework part 2. That's 72 points, and that's on finishing up on the Pythagorean theorem. And then we go to 9.4, which is real numbers. We go into real numbers. In our standard for that is 8.NS.1, and then 8.NS.2, 8.EE.2. We covered that one, but NS.2 and NS.1 is a new standard there, and that's about rationals and irrational numbers. And how many points for 9.4 part 1? We got 36 points. And then for 9.4 part 2, we got 20 points. For 9.4 part 2 classwork. And then our 9.4 classwork part 2, that was part 1. This part 2 here is 20 points. And then we go into our homework for 9.4, and the homework for 9.4 is 96 points of homework. So that, and then we go into Chapter 9, Review and Summary. This is a classwork, 45 points, 25 points in note-taking, and our standards, that the R and S, we haven't covered trig yet, so no sine and cosine, but we cover this part in our chapter review. This is part 1 chapter review. And then our homework for chapter 9, review and summary, part 1 has got 45 points, so we do cover that. It covers this part, doesn't cover the trig part, not till next quarter. And then our modifications, remember, modifications and accommodations, everything's available online, Google Classroom, classwork, homework, quizzes, tests, Zoom, tutoring on request, so don't forget that. And then continuing on here, we finish up week 9 with our mid-chapter quiz, 57 points for that. And then our test, chapter 9 test, part 1, 44 points for the chapter 9 test. And that is everything for Math 8, quarter 1, week 9. Animated PowerPoint math video, AOL.com for questions, course materials. Thank you very much.